Good morning, guys. Today we're doing 3-1 Day 2 Lines and Planes. Our goal for today is to describe the following vocabulary words: alternate interior angles, same side interior angles, corresponding angles, and alternate exterior angles. Very first thing, we got some words that we need to know. First word is transversal. Transversal is a line that intersects two or more coplanar lines. So let's think about what coplanar means. So they're two lines that are sitting on the same plane at distinct points. An example for our picture, the transversal is line T. So let's take a look at this picture over here. We have our two lines L and M. T intersects them, right? So that's why I said T is my transversal. The next one, alternate interior angles. Those are non-adjacent interior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. Or we could say alternate sides of the transversal, but that means the same thing. Okay, so now, what do I mean by interior? So interior means that they're in between these two lines. So you're not looking at the transversal, you're looking at your other two lines. So I'm looking at all my angles that are in between those. So now I have all these options. But I'm going to break it down a little bit more. They're on opposite sides of my transversal. So that means that 4 and 6 are an example, or 5 and 3. So you don't want them next to each other, and they have to be on opposite sides. So we couldn't say like 4 and 3 or 5 and 6. It has to be 5 and 3, 4 and 6. Okay, let's try another one. Same side interior angles are non-adjacent angles that lie on the same side of the transversal. So, very first thing that I'm looking at, we said same side interior, right? So first off, where are my two lines? I'm looking at these two. I want interior, so that tells me I'm only looking at these four in the middle. And I want same side of the transversal. That tells me that I'm going to say 3 and 6 are on the same side. So you're just basically going around in a circle like this. Or on the other side, same thing, around in a circle. So 3 and 6, or 4 and 5. So right here. So they're on the same side. They're in between my two lines. So the next part, corresponding angles lie on the same side of the transversal and they're in the same position. So a way to remember, corresponding just means they're the same. So now let's take a look at our picture. So I'm looking at my two lines. Okay, this one has an easier way to do this. Very first thing that I want to do is I want to draw a dot everywhere that there is an intersection. So now, corresponding means they're in the same positions. So I'm looking at number 1. Where's angle 1 in relationship to that dot? It looks like it's on the top side and it's on the left. So top left. So I'm going to look down at my bottom dot. And I'm going to say, what angle is on the top left? It looks like it's number 5. So let's try another one. Angle 2 is top right. On my other dot, 6 is also on the top right. Number 3 is bottom right. So we go down there. Bottom right is 7. And very last one, let's just check and make sure. 4 is bottom left. 8 is also bottom left. So you're basically just moving around and saying, okay, I'm in the top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, bottom right. And then you're all done. That's all that one is. Okay, another one. Alternate exterior angles. Those are non-adjacent exterior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. So, very first thing I'm looking at, my two lines, they're right here again, line L and line M. So we have that. I want exterior angles. So that tells me that I'm not going to look at anything in here. Those are gone. We're looking at these and these. So, alternate, I'm looking at 1. I want to be on the opposite side of that transversal. So on the opposite side of line T. That has to be 7. Now let's try another one. I'm looking at 2 on the opposite side. So I'm going directly across to 8 right over there. So 2 and 8, 1 and 7. Not too bad. You just look on the outside, go on opposite sides. Very last one. Vertical angles. We already know this one. We've learned this. Two angles whose sides are opposite rays. What does that mean, guys? It just means they make an X, right? So I'm looking and I want angles that make an X. So I'm looking and saying 1 and 3 look like they make an X. 2 and 4 look like they make an X. 5 and 7 look like they make an X. And 8 and 6 look like they make an X. So I'm just looking for everything where when you put them together and they share a vertex, they make an X. Okay, so now let's try and actually do some problems. So, very first part, corresponding angles. We're thinking about it. We need to draw dots where our lines are. So I have a dot there, and I'm looking and saying, what do I have that are in the same areas? Well, 1's in the top left. Do I have a top left down here? Yeah, it looks like number 3's in the top left. So I said 1 and 3. Angle 2 is in the bottom right. Do I have a number in my bottom right over here? No, so that's not going to help us. What about 4? 4 is in the bottom right, and 6 is also in the bottom right. So that's why I said 4 and 6. 5, there's nothing that goes along with 5 because it's top right. We don't have a top right on the top or on the top line. So that one's done. Okay, the next one. Here we go. Alternate interior angles. So I'm looking, I have this line and this line. So interior means I'm only looking at these ones on the inside. I want them to be on opposite side of my transversal. So I'm looking at 2. What's on the opposite side? It's 5. Let's try it one more time. We have 4. We want the opposite side. So 3. So 2 and 5, 4 and 3. My next one. Alternate exterior angles. So that tells me that I want the ones that are on the outside of these two lines. So I'm not looking at anything in here. These ones in here are useless. So I'm looking, I really only have one choice, but let's just double check, make sure it's right. I have 1, I go across with 6. So I said 1 and 6. My next one, I'm going to say that I have to do, what is it, same side interior angles. So very first thing, I need to show where my lines are. So I have this one and this one. I want interior, which means that they are in between those two lines. And we want same side. So I'm going with 2. I don't want to cross this middle line right here. I want to leave that alone. So 2, just go straight down to 3. So 2 and 3 go together. I have 4. I just want to go straight down to 5. So 2 and 3, 4 and 5. My next one, linear pair. Okay, linear pair. We haven't talked about this one in a while. Let's think about that. Linear pairs. They're 2 angles that add up to 180, right? So 1 and 2. So I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, what things do I have next to each other that make a linear pair with 1? So I want a straight line with 1. So I'm already looking at this part, but I need another part. So I'm going to continue on, and it looks like, oh, 1 and 2 go together like that. So we're good. That one's easy. We already knew that, though. We took a test on that. My next one, vertical angles. Let's think about this for a second. Vertical angles are the ones that make X's. So looks like 1 and 4 make an X. So I said 1 and 4. 5 doesn't have anything that goes with it. Neither does 2. But 3 and 6 make X's. So 1 and 4, 3 and 6. Now my next one, supplementary. I'm thinking, what on earth does supplementary mean again? I'm pretty sure that it means that they add up to 180. Yeah, okay. So I want things that sit next to each other that add up to 180. So I'm basically just looking for a whole bunch of linear pairs. So 2 and 4. Oh, I missed one on my paper. 1 and 2. So let me add that in. Angle 2 and angle 4. Angle 1 and angle 2. Angle 3 and angle 5. And then angle 5 and angle 6. So we basically just listed all of our linear pairs. Okay, very last one. Complementary. Complementary is just angles that add up to 90. But I'm looking at this, and I don't really have any markings, so I don't have anything that's really going to help me with this. So based off of my picture, I'm saying that there aren't any. I don't have enough information. They'd have to tell me more to be able to say that, yes, these two are complementary to each other. Now, what I want you to do is go ahead, pause this video, and try out these next problems. Take a few minutes, try them out, see how you do, and then when you come back and restart the video, we'll check and see if we got the same answers. Okay, now that you've gone through and tried them all, let's just double check and see if we got some of the same stuff. How many pairs of corresponding angles are there? I'm saying that there's 4. Naming 2 pairs, so let's just go ahead and name them all. We know that 1 goes with 3. We know that 2 goes with 4. We know that 5 goes with 7. And last but not least, 6 goes with 8. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, bottom right. Okay, my next one. How many pairs of alternate interior angles are there? So I'm looking interior. I want to be between these 2 lines. So that means I'm only looking at these 4 options right here. And I want them to be on opposite sides, so 2 and 7. And then 3 and 6. Everybody got that? There are no other options for that. Those were the only things that you could have said. The next one, we have how many pairs of same side interior angles are there? So same side interior, let's just see if we can name them all. We have 2 and 3 because they're in between these 2 lines. So we have 2 and 3 and 6 and 7. Don't forget, they just go straight across from each other. So there's only 2 pairs. Those were our only options. We couldn't have written anything else. The next one, how many alternate exterior angles are there? So I'm looking and it looks like to me there's only going to be 2, but let's just double check. So I'm looking for the things that are outside of these 2 lines. So that knocks out everything inside. So I have 1. I want to go on the opposite side, so I'm going to go across. That's 8. And then I want to do the same thing with 4. I want to go across, so that's 5. So 1 and 8. 5 and 4. Those are my only options here. My next one, how many pairs of vertical angles are there? Now we know what vertical angles are. They're the ones that make X's. So I was looking for anything that made an X. And it looks like there's 4 pairs. But let's just go ahead and name them all. So it looks like 1 and 6 make X's. 5 and 2 make X's. 3 and 8. And then what's my last one? Looks like I'm missing 4 and 7. Okay, so those are all your options. If you didn't put one of those, then go back and double check your work. Now, we have another picture. We're looking at this cool one over here. Very first question is asking me, name all the lines parallel to DC. So DC is sitting right here. So the lines I could have named were AB, HG, and EF. Mine got kind of cut off, but I just highlighted them so you can see what I'm talking about. They're all the ones that are just headed in that same direction. So not too bad, just like the ones in our beginning of our notes. So the next one is asking for name a plane parallel to ABHG. So ABHG is this front face right here. So I'm looking and I think it's going to be the back face over here. So DEFC, or you can do a different combination of those 4 letters, but that's the only plane that actually works for this one. Very last one, we almost made it through the whole thing. Here we go. It's asking for name 4 lines that are skew to BC. So BC is sitting right here. I want 4 lines that don't intersect with it and aren't heading in that same direction. So the very first one that caught my eye was AH. It was like, hey, it's going in a different direction. They don't touch each other, so they should be fine. So then I looked, do I have one that's parallel to that? Yeah, I do. ED, right there. And then I thought about it, and I thought, I probably have some more. So I started looking around for anything else that's not going in that same direction and also doesn't touch it. And I noticed that HG does not touch that line anywhere. It's up above it. It goes in a different direction. So then I thought, is there one parallel to that? And I saw that EF also does not touch that line and does not run parallel. So now we have all of these done. What I want you to do is work on your lesson check. When you are done with that, make sure you work on your Delta math and get that discussion question done. Have a good rest of your day.